safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veterans services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who's interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Kent County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today's date is Thursday, October 25th, 2018. The time is 8:30 a.m. and we'll begin today's meeting with roll call.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Commissioner Antor.
Here.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Here.
Commissioners Breevy. Here. Bulkowski.
Present.
Hennessy.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Kallman. Korndike.
Present.
Mast.
Here.
Melton.
Present.
Morgan.
Here.
Ponstein. Skaggs. Steck.
Here.
Talon.
Here.
Vonk.
Here.
Voorhees.
Present.
Womack.
Here.
Chair Salfeld.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 16 members present, 3 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We will then move to agenda items 3 and 4. I will call on Commissioner Mast for invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Chair. Fellow Commissioners, shall we begin with prayer? Thank you, Lord, for your presence and your beautiful creation that was evident by your beautiful moon that has been set in the sky since creation. Thank you for its beautiful reminder of your presence and never-changing ways. Thank you for the seasons. Thank you, Lord, as well for our free country that we are able to serve in. Bless us as we go about our activities and our decisions today. Give us wisdom in our job. Give us patience. Give us willingness to listen. Watch over our citizens that have many issues and complications that we attempt to address. Be with our nation. Be with our elected officials in whatever capacity they are in. Give them wisdom as well. We pray, Lord, that you will continue to watch over us as we discuss and make decisions about our citizens and resources. We pray this in your name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Mast. We will move then to agenda item 5, and we have 2 special order of businesses to present today. For the first one, which is Experience Grand Rapids, we'll call upon Mr. Doug Small. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. It's good to be back. A beautiful morning. I agree with not just the moon, but the orange glow coming from the east this morning against our beautiful skyline was sensational. So hopefully there's some great photo ops that'll come out and maybe help us do our job. So just to get you started, we thought we'd put up our mission. While there's a lot of words here, quite honestly, our job is drive visitors, fill hotel rooms, and that'll help the economy and the tax base grow. And as you're going to see here in just a little bit, it is doing just that. A little bit about us. For those of you that aren't quite familiar, we have 31 full-time staff members, 14 staff members, or part-time staff members. Those are our airport staff, where we provide visitor services at the airport. If you go through there, you see the green jackets. Those are our folks out there. We have a great, robust internship program and a simple organization in that there's 4 areas of discipline. Our team, most of which are here today, our leadership team. Kim Young was not able to make it due to illness, but everybody else is here, and you're going to actually, other than me, you're going to hear from a couple of the others today also. We just went through we do 3-year strategic planning. We just went through that exercise the past several months, and the new strategic plan was just approved by our board of directors at the September meeting. And I want to thank Wayman Britt, Commissioner Jones, and others who have helped us as we put this strategic plan together. It's robust. These are the 4 main goals, overriding goals that came out of that planning session. Advocate for destination improvements so that we can enhance and continue to do our job. Build a diverse and equitable community that will also benefit the tourism economy. Inspire a shared community vision that leads to reputation as an exceptional destination. We're trying to get to that next level of destinations, and then plan and develop programs to ensure that resources are available in order to continue to do the job that we and the hospitality industry are providing for Kent County. A few years back, we co-commissioned a study with Grand Action to look at the destination in really a variety of ways, both from an infrastructure or hard goods and from a soft goods. What is it going to take for us to get to that next level? The Indianapolises of the world and my former home, Denver, years ago went through this. How do you go from a Tier 3 to a Tier 2 and a Tier 2 to a Tier 1? And it's not always based on size or population. It's built on based on amenities and brand awareness and recognition. So the study had 7 major outcomes that came out of it. That's what you see on this wheel here. I'm not going to go through each, but I do want you to know that this is not a study that's just sitting still. In fact, there's champions in each of these 7 areas, and we meet quarterly and keep updates so that we keep that wheel moving forward. And there's been some great strides in all of these areas. We have underneath that wheel, you'll see a page on our website. That is where these updates are constantly being put in. So if you ever at any time want to see where we are in each of these 7 areas, you can do so by going to that link. So how are we performing? As you can see from this graph, quite well. We went back as far as 2013 to show you the growth. While hotel occupancy is important, it's not the end all. But this, and I think Tom's going to show you later how we compare to our competitive set and the nation. But we've had some really handsome gains in hotel occupancies. Most importantly, how does room revenue? Room revenue obviously is what drives the tax base. And as you can see here, this is 2012, 133 million. We're anticipating to end this year at about $210 million in hotel room revenue. And 214 is what we're projecting for 2019. So really nice gains in hotel room revenue, which leads to gains in lodging excise tax. We want to thank you for your continued contributions of a portion of this to go towards our efforts in marketing this wonderful destination to continue to build on this. But again, you can see some great gains in the lodging excise tax over the last several years, and we anticipate that to continue into next year. With that is our budget. Our budget is derived 2 major sources. The Kent County Lodging Excise Tax, which again you give us a percentage of, and a hotel room assessment. So our hotels, we have an agreement with our hotels that directly provides us with 4% of the room revenue that goes into the Kent County hotels. And as you can see, with these numbers growing, if our budget grows like this, that's because we're putting more heads in beds. As a direct result of simply just more visitors coming to our community. So it's nice to see and have a budget because, as I said, when Tom shows you our competitive set, we compete well above our weight class. And we're finally getting to the level, budget-wise, where we feel we can go toe-to-toe with the larger cities we compete with on an annual basis. Our friends at the West Michigan Sports Commission, we have a wonderful relationship. You're going to hear from Mike and his team later. You made an investment to get that organization started, and you asked us to come along in that investment. And as you can see, for those first 5 years, it was a flat fee from both of us to help Mike get things off the ground. And then you came to us and said, we are going to provide you with funding experience, Grand Rapids. You work with Mike and his team on a contractual basis to continue to provide funding moving forward. So Mike and I have an agreement with our organizations that they get a portion of what you give us from a lodging excise tax, as well as what we get from our hotels through the hotel room assessment. And it's nice to see that Mike's getting a larger budget that's allowed him to do some wonderful, wonderful things and help us with the results that I just showed you a little bit earlier. Coming down the pike, it's amazing how our hotel market is growing. These are the hotels that will be opening in 2019. As you can see, much more inventory coming in. It seems like almost monthly I get a call from a firm that's doing a feasibility study for another property somewhere in the county. You could see close to as many rooms coming on board in 2020 as you see on this slide for 2019. That's great, but somebody's got to fill them. So we're up to that task, and we'll continue to work hard to make certain that all of our partners and our shareholders, our stakeholders are getting their due. With that, I can either take questions on this information or we could wait until the end. How would you like to do that?
Yeah, why don't we go through the entire presentation and then open it up for questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Doug, good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
All right, we get to talk about convention sales. Hopefully you saw a number of emergency managers that we've hosted in town the last few days, if you've been around the convention center at all. And we have folks to thank in town that obviously helped us bring that to town. Here are some of our metrics that are in front of you. You can see how we're measured. Most importantly, we have an annual convention room night goal of signed hotel rooms, signed contracts. And the goal this year is 154,000 rooms, so we've seen steady growth over the last couple of years. You can see where we finished in 2016 as well as 2017. And we anticipate closing out the year based on conversations that we've had with our customers that will sign contracts between now and the end of the year, that number should come in right about 154,000. We continue to book over 400 groups a year, a wide variety of sizes. What we've seen sort of shake out in the marketplace is we're booking more meetings, but the average booking is a little bit smaller than what it used to be. So a couple years ago, you can see with those 151,000 room nights with 428 groups, that was an average of 353 room nights. Last year was 338, so we're booking more and more groups, but I think a lot of clients are getting a little bit more hesitant about signing contracts and attrition clauses and things like that. Room nights hosted, you can see that's what was hosted in that particular year. Last year was a great year for the number of convention attendees that were actually in town. Future attendance is an important number for us. Of course, a lot of what we do is working well into the future. We're already working with groups in 2023, 2024, 2025. So that's why leads sent and future lead room nights are so important to us, to keep those in our funnel, keep as many groups as we can, and work hard to convert those groups into bookings. And then the last two at the bottom there, you'll see site visits hosted as well as trade shows and events. That tells you how busy our team is out there selling every single day. I have a team of 15 in sales and services and events that are either bringing clients into Grand Rapids, or we're going into markets like Washington, D.C., and Chicago, and Kansas City, and St. Louis, and Cleveland, and entertaining clients in those cities and trying to get them to come to Grand Rapids and bring their event. Bring it to Grand Rapids. I know many of you are familiar with this program. I had mentioned International Association of Emergency Managers. Jack Stewart helped us with that group. These are all national groups. Almost every single national group requires some type of industry leader or champion within that industry to help us bring it to Grand Rapids. Of course, Chuck DeWitt's here and helped us with American Jail Association. We continue to pursue that for future years as well. And you probably heard the good news. Sheriff Stelma and Michelle Young and the leadership team at the Kent County Sheriff's Department helped us win National Sheriff's Association for June of 2023, so we're excited. They'll bring a few thousand. I think it's going to end up being about 5,000 room nights for June of 23. National Association of Court Management, we had worked with Kevin McKay on that, and of course Tom Antor and the Freedom Cruise, Dave Bolkowski on Association of Programs for Rural Independent Living. Adam London had helped us book NEHA, and then Building Materials Reuse Association with Kristen Whelan. This is our STAR report, Smith Travel Research out of Nashville, Tennessee. They're the industry leader in hotel metrics and performance. You can see the 12 cities that are in our comp set. These are cities that we go head-to-head with every day and try to win business. I had mentioned National Sheriff's Association earlier. We've pursued them for years. It came down to the final two being us versus Kansas City, and at their national convention this year in New Orleans, we were awarded the bid and beat out Kansas City. So you can see how our hotels are performing against the rest of the comp set. We continue almost every single month to be number one in what we consider the three key metrics, which is occupancy percentage, average daily rate, ADR, and then RevPAR, which is occupancy times rate. And you can see we've had pretty good growth in all of those areas, and especially if you look at the average daily rate, you can see we're at almost $120 on the ADR, and the next closest in the comp set being Pittsburgh at about $7 lower. That's a pretty significant margin. So we're doing well in revenue and rate. The occupancy number is down slightly, but where I always point people to look at is demand. That's really the key indicator. We've actually filled about 8,000 more rooms this year than we did last year, and despite that, occupancy is down about 3/4 of a point. ADR is up 1.5 points, RevPAR is almost up a point, and as we mentioned too, room revenue up just over 2 points. So a very healthy and robust Kent County hotel market. And I'll look forward to any questions you might have at the end.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. I stood before you last year, a newbie to the leadership team, and so here I am almost a year and a half later, and I'm excited to share some of the updates with you. So since starting with the organization last year, I took a lot of time to set the table, as Doug would say, and really cultivate relationships in the community that would help to support the work of multicultural business development. And as a result, we have some key programs that have come out of the work that has been cultivating. And so it's very excited to share this first program, Discover Tourism GR. This is a workforce development initiative that is going to help us diversify our talent pool here in Grand Rapids. And this year, a team of individuals from the community went to Atlanta, Georgia, to Morehouse College to introduce this program to a group of young men that are excited to consider or explore careers in hospitality and tourism. And on November 3rd, we will be welcoming 11 students and their two faculty members to Grand Rapids to show them Grand Rapids, show off our wonderful city, the opportunities that are available here for them in a career in hospitality and tourism. And so we will host them over the weekend. A couple of receptions have been planned, and we're really just excited about showcasing our city to them. And they will also be attending a career fair. So that is where the opportunity to seek an internship or a career in this industry will really come to fruition. The next exciting opportunity that continues to help us fill that pipeline of talent in not only just attracting talent, but retaining talent here in Grand Rapids is a partnership with Grand Rapids Public Schools. And last week, we had the opportunity to announce that partnership with them. Some of you may have seen it on our local television stations. Thank you to Commissioner Talent for joining us. But in partnership with Grand Rapids Public Schools, Grand Valley State University, AHC and Hospitality, and many others that will come on board later, we will have the opportunity to introduce our students to this industry as well. So really starting to build awareness and interest in our industry. And there's many sectors that make up hospitality and tourism that these students will be able to explore as they look at their career path. So this is a career themed school that will be at, not at Grand Valley, but at Ottawa Hills High School starting the fall of 2019. And we're really looking to see the fruit of that labor really come to fruition next year. The next program that we've been working on. Last year we had the inaugural grand welcome reception, and this is really an opportunity for us to welcome newcomers to Grand Rapids, for us to extend to those who may have been visitors, visiting Grand Rapids by way of family members, a convention, or even just seeking a job and found their way to Grand Rapids now and they call it home. And so we want to be able to wrap our arms around them and connect them with community resources, with community leaders that is going to help them to really plant their feet in Grand Rapids and consider, we're a great community, and I think that we do a really good job with creating that community feel for individuals. And we just want to meet our newcomers as soon as possible. So we're working with organizations like The Right Place, Hello West Michigan, the Convention Arena Authority and Community Inclusion Group, as well as the Chamber, to host our second annual Grand Welcome Reception. And many of you, I believe, joined us last year, and so we invite you to join us again. That event will be on November 12th. It will also be in conjunction with the kickoff of the African American series that the Community Inclusion Group is hosting. We'll have the Dance Theater of Harlem here at the DeVos Place. So that will be a great segue to, attend a welcome reception, meet a lot of community members, and then enjoy one of our cultural arts organizations. The next opportunity that we really had to share the good work that we've been doing is a new blog called The Rapid Exchange. So for those of you who are subscribed to our newsletters, we have one more for you. This Rapid Exchange really elevates the voices of our leadership team. So we have the opportunity to talk about those things that we're doing in the community. And so coming from an organization where we really, where I worked in community relations, it was imperative that we talked about what we did in the community. And sometimes it's hard for organizations to do that. You don't want to look like, you're self-serving, but I think it's important for us to share not only with our visitors but our residents the good work that we're doing, and this allows us to have that voice and be able to articulate that to our residents as well as our visitors. Next, this year, coming up, a part of my job is to also put heads in beds, and so although a lot of the work that I've been doing has been cultivating workforce development initiatives, there's still a responsibility that I have to help funnel new leads and accounts into our organization that will help to diversify our meeting attendance. And so working with sales, going into 2019, I will have some sales goals with regards to creating leads and new accounts. And one of those partnerships that we are working on is with the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners and Connect Diversity. These are two industry leading organizations that have connections with meeting planners that can help us draw those attendance groups that we are looking to bring to Grand Rapids. So we'll be working with them to, again, cultivate those relationships and to build new relationships within those networks that will help us bring more diverse groups to Grand Rapids. And so we're really excited about those opportunities that are on the horizon. So you can see I've been really busy, and it's been an exciting journey, and I continue to just connect with individuals that will help to lead to more groups coming to Grand Rapids, as well as diversifying our talent pipeline. All very important initiatives, and I'm having a blast. So thank you all for the opportunity to share again this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm having a blast too. And it's a pleasure to work with Angela and all of the energy that she brings into our work team. Good morning, and I'm gonna wrap up the Experience Grand Rapids presentation this morning. I want to share with you a little bit about what we're doing to build destination awareness, because people will come to a place that they know about and that they're attracted to. And this works to help support Angela's work, Tom's team's work, but also all the leisure visitors that are coming here. And research that we have tells us that we've seen about 2.3% increase in the number of visitors. We're over 18.3 million visitors coming to the Kent County area in 2017 over 2016. And with the good numbers coming in from our area hotels, I would anticipate that we'll see an increase this year as well. It all boils down to really our website being the central place where we can put the information, and then we let all the amazing ways that Google and everything else can find that information, and all the efforts that we have. I think what's interesting for you to note here is we continue to make improvements to the website to make it more user-friendly so people can find what they're looking for. They don't all come in through the front door. Many of them come in through all the pieces of content that are there. But we have about 7,000 people using our website every day. And we're now seeing about 71% of the people using the website either from a mobile phone or a tablet. We had a great project this year with Commissioner Bolkowski's team at Disability Advocates, where we were able to work with his team to help us do a deeper dive on the real accessibility to 60 venues throughout the Kent County area. And we've now published all that information on our website for each of those venues. We're working now on more of a guide tool. We're working on some blog posts. And this is an ongoing effort, and we're going to be looking to expand past that 60 plus for 2019. The marketing of the destination is all about storytelling. It's about digital ads, it's about the promotions, and they're all focused really in these 6 areas. So art and culture, food and dining, live music, craft beer and beverages, family travel, and outdoor recreation. And our team is focused on storytelling and doing ads in all 6 of those areas. Something that we launched this year was in partnership with a new national travel app. So it's like an adventure app. And we're not alone there. We have a local Experience Grand Rapids channel there now, but we have friends from Chicago, Brooklyn, Austin, Boston that also have this app populated. And this is about adventure, heritage, cultural tours. So Vermont is the app. You can look for it in the App Store. It's free. And then you can explore some of these tours. And it's just a way for people to be inspired to go to a new place, but also have a more find out more about what they might explore when they get there. I want to highlight another program that we launched this year, and we renovated, I guess, our Culture Pass. So now we have an online pass like you might experience in a larger city, where you can visit 7 cultural attractions for one price of $24. And we're seeing a steady increase in the amount of people that are purchasing these. And our primary target audience are visitors from outside. So, and we're having a lot of success with that, and our cultural attractions are happy that we're helping package all of them together. We've hosted 85 journalists and influencers to tell stories to their audiences throughout the country about this great place that we have here. We continue to train certified tourism ambassadors, which is part of our visitor service. So Doug mentioned our team with the Green Jackets at the airport. We also have volunteers that work with our conventions in the convention center space when they're throughout the county. And then we're also working in partnership with the Art Museum to enhance the welcome experience that people have there. Later today, we're going to award 8 scholarships to students at Grand Rapids Community College as part of our giving back from the Restaurant Week promotion this last summer. So 8 students will be receiving their scholarships to continue in their education. And we continue to invite new audiences, so our community members that speak Spanish as their primary language. And we're also working together with a lot of the Latino-owned restaurants to invite them into the Restaurant Week promotion as well. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about craft beer, because I always talk about that. But this is a phenomenal program that we launched really 3 years ago this week. We now have over 12,500 people who have gone out to at least 8 of our area craft breweries so that they could redeem their 8 stamps for their Brusader t-shirt. And I know many of you also are Brusaders, so thank you. We launched this year a new digital version of that, which actually interacts with the paper version. And we're already seeing about 31% of our redemptions are now coming through the digital app. So we're shifting away from some of the paper and we're moving into more digital experience. And what we like about the digital experience is we can see when someone has started to use their app, but they haven't completed. And we have a vehicle for being able to communicate and push messages to them to remind them to come back here and complete their Brusader experience. We also did a lot of work on the meetings and convention area of our website this year to help meeting planners find information. And something that I'm really excited about, for about the last year, we've been using the digital marketing efforts with ads on social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places to be able to power and look for new meeting planners. And we've been able to host, I think, maybe 4 or 5 of them through this initiative. And we're bringing them in, and we've already gotten, I believe, 4 requests for proposals because of the guests that we were able to bring in through this digital outreach effort. And I'm going to show you a video now, I hope, that was created to add some more attraction to our website this summer and hopefully inspire people to come here. That completes our presentation. Questions?
Just a quick comment. I see you have Cocktail Week, which I've not seen before, and I looked it up, and I see it starts on November 7th.
Yes, it does.
Day after the election. Excellent timing.
It also, this isn't our first year with this, but it continues to get more attention, and it precedes the International Wine, Food, and Beverage Show at DeVos Place, and it's a nice way to really invite our local bartenders and craft cocktail locations to pair with food, and another story to increase awareness about what we have here.
Very good. I'm going to be mindful of our time, but I will allow a handful of questions here. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick comment. I really enjoy being on the board, so thank you very much for having me. I'm also a CTA, and I am a Brusader, and I did a Brusader as a designated driver. So I just want everyone to know, even though that is craft beer, you can get your passport stamped and get your T-shirt, which I have. just being the DD to make sure everyone stays safe. So thank you very much.
Good. Commissioner Poundstein.
Thank you, Chair Softball. Mine's I don't know who's going to want to answer it, but it's more of a further out looking. When you see that we're adding about 1,000 rooms in the next couple of years, one question comes to mind is the infrastructure in place to satisfy all those hotel rooms? And then on the flip side, with all the successes, if you have multiple events in the city, which not only do we rely on tourism to fill the seats, we also rely the people from the suburbs. Traffic can be a nightmare. Is there a plan to look at infrastructure long range? Are we positioned to continue to make this grow, or are we going to have these growing pains that will eventually be a negative impact on the industry?
Good questions. One, I wished I had more control over who builds and who doesn't build, but I don't. As I say, the develop hotels, they don't ask us what type of hotels, we're just to fill them. We're up to that task. We continue to, as you've seen, create great marketing opportunities to fill these hotels, and as Tom said, we've done so thus far with the growth. My biggest concern probably is actually workforce development in these areas. If you're building a 150-room hotel, that's probably 60 employees, and as you saw, the numbers that are coming, and it's already tough to keep up. So that's what probably keeps me up at night as much as the number of rooms coming in and that we have to fill those. As far as traffic, those are obviously the pains of a growing community. I saw it when I was in Denver. Fortunately for them, they had the light rail that continued to get people around. We work very, very closely with Josh Nairmore, with the city's mobility and parking services area. As an example of that, the Dash we felt was very underutilized, and quite honestly, strong term, was a waste of money in its former self. We kept pushing and pushing, and as a result, now the Dash has become very visitor friendly to move our folks around. So we use public transportation. It's now runs on weekends. It runs till 1 a.m. on some evenings. It has extended more to the west side, where we've got all this new wonderful entertainment, right, Commissioner Hennessy? And so we just got to continue to work on that, because I've seen cities, Austin's a prime example. Austin's a mess when it comes to transportation. And here's a wonderful city with a good reputation as a visitor attraction, but it's a nightmare to get around. So we just got to keep talking and keep making change.
Just one quick add on that. We're proud of the convention center downtown. It can bring in a lot of people. But I've heard some groups that I belong to that they're in that 250 to 500 range, and they say, well, we've ruled out Grand Rapids either for political reasons, or the hotels downtown are too expensive for our members. We don't need the large rooms. We've got a smaller. Do we have that infrastructure in place to draw in even the smaller?
Yeah, if there is, since my competitors aren't in the room, I don't think, if there is a void that we have here, and that is that we're a unique community in that we've got very few convention-style hotels in our town. We are a county full of select service hotels with limited to none, to no meeting space. Going back to where I don't have a say in the development. If I did have a say in the development, I'd put a conference center style hotel, suburban conference style hotel in our county. I could tell you Tom's people would fill it on a regular basis, and we don't have that. There is talk, and I think we're going to find out in December if we're going to build another convention style hotel downtown with ample meeting space so that we can host a couple groups at one time. But I think there's, if I was being asked by a developer, I would want a conference center style hotel somewhere outside of downtown.
Thank you for all your time and all your work, and I appreciate the hard work of your staff.
Commissioner Korndike.
Thank you, Chair. You might have already answered the question. I was going to ask you, Doug, what's the next challenge that you see coming down the pike for your organization? I mean, 12, 13 years ago, the CVB came up with doing a sports commission, and it's worked out fabulously, and we're going to hear about that shortly. But what's the biggest challenge you face in trying to bring more conventions and more folks into our city? Is it competition, innovation, new facilities? What do we need, or do you need to be focused on that we could help you with to make sure that we continue the success that we're experiencing right now?
It's a continuance, sort of the question that Commissioner Ponstein asked, and that is the right kind of infrastructure. We'll start with infrastructure. We are looking at the potential of should we and where do we expand the convention center. But with that, you have to have the right rooms component to go with it. What Tom didn't have time to get into today is Oklahoma City, Milwaukee, Indianapolis just announced this week they're expanding their convention center by a large amount, and 1,400 new rooms are coming into downtown to support it. The competition around us is doing just that. Where I'm concerned is the numbers have been great, and they've been going like this at a rapid pace. I've never seen it. But we're getting to a point now where if we're going to find that next bucket of business, I don't think we have the infrastructure to support that bucket of business that's going to our competitors because they have more committable hotel rooms around a convention center that's been enlarged. So that's sort of the hard goods. On the soft side, or what we do, is just we continue to fight with brand recognition out there. And I've used this example before. I'll use two examples. If you took the Packers out of Green Bay, what would you have? Not many of us would know about it, but there's not a lot of Green Bay fans in here. But you took them out. You took Notre Dame out of South Bend. We really don't have that, with all due respect. So we've got to zig while there's zag and do things differently and creatively in order to create brand awareness. And staff's done a wonderful job with that. So it's that brand recognition we're not seen on TV every Sunday and Saturday. So we've got to create that. So that side of the equation is also where the budget helps in order for us to compete.
Thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Womack.
Yes. Doug, could you tell me what we're doing to be proactive with some of the attendance and registrations we may lose by Art Prize becoming biennial every 2 years?
Do I have timeouts left? Can I use a timeout at this point? That's really a question for Art Prize. I'll tell you, from our standpoint, it's to be seen. And here's, Commissioner, 10 years ago, 6 months prior to the first Art Prize, Rick DeVos came in our office and says, I want to talk to you about an event I'm planning. And he told us about it. And Janet and I were in that meeting, we kept asking him questions, and his answer was, I don't know. To every question, I don't know. Because he didn't know what and we now know that Art Prize has been wonderful. Going back to brand recognition, it's been wonderful for our city to get recognized internationally as a great cultural community. So we as an organization have sort of taken that same approach with Project with next year. The question will answer itself, I believe, as we see what Project looks like. The more I hear about their plans, and it's gone back to like year one, it's still evolving. The more I hear about it, I get more excited about it. If I was to guess today, I'd say it's not going to draw the masses that you see for Art Prize, but it may draw a different kind of visitor that's interested in different kind of art here. I think it could be even more global visitors that'll come here based on what I'm hearing. But it's to be seen. We just talked about it when we did our forecast for next year. What does September and October look like without the traditional Art Prize? But we're, like the rest of you, we're going to wait and see. We're going to do our best to promote the heck out of it and hope that this becomes something that people want to really attend.
Will it scale back some of the indicators that we're judging your success by when we talk about the registrations and bookings at hotel? And if it does scale that back, by what percentage do you believe we could lose without 210,000 people in the downtown area in September and October?
Majority of the hotel room nights that are associated to Art Prize are weekends. There's people that say they felt Art Prize seemed down a little this year, but we run one of the things that we do for our outlying suburban hotels is we provide a complimentary shuttle service to the outlying hotels to get people downtown, and it was up this year. The ridership was up this year, which was encouraging. Most of that's weekend, but the midweek does well because conventions are in town. during midweek. We don't see a huge fall off in the midweek because we're going to continue to book conventions. The weekends will be interesting to see if the loss of the traditional art prize is going to affect our weekend traffic.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug.
We have time for 2 more questions. Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Chair Softfeld. Doug, good morning. Above all, compliments to you and your staff and the great successes that you're having. Commissioner Hennessy and I serve on the John Ball Zoo board, and we have half a dozen, maybe 8 of our staff people who are members of national organization having to do with animal species preservation and ecological conservation and these issues that really fit well in bringing people to Grand Rapids. And so hoping that we can find some connections there, some incentives there maybe to get more of these associations into Grand Rapids.
Yeah, we'd love to have the monkey convention,
Yep.
Commissioners. We had the rabbit breeders several years ago, and might as well bring that in too. So that Bring It to Grand Rapids program that Tom mentioned has been hugely successful, and while it's been successful, we know that there's still areas that we can improve on. That being one of them, and I think the health sciences is another area that we're continuing to try to work on to try to bring more conventions here. So
Thank you.
The zoo's a wonderful asset, by the way, and we love it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Melton.
Thank you, Chair. My question kind of piggybacks what Commissioner Womack said. Is there any working with the colleges? We are so rich in West Michigan with all the different colleges and universities that we have here. And I hadn't thought of this, but looking forward to October, September, is there, and I'm just sort of, anyway, off the top of my head, is there any way to work with the colleges for some of their games, some of their events that they're having, some of their science projects, robotics projects and things like that, to have them give you the information of what's coming up, and you could kind of tout that, and it could work 2 ways. If you look into, I know Calvin College pulls from all over the country, all over the world, and it's very, very well known. Some of the things that are going on at their school, parents could plan ahead for college visits and come and, partner with what's going on at the college. We win, the parents win, or the child wins, and the experiencing Grand Rapids wins. I don't know, is that something that's ever been?
A great question, and the answer is yes to all. We have wonderful relationships with all of our colleges and universities. Going back to the Bring It to Grand Rapids, a lot of the conferences that come in this community are a result of the colleges and universities that we have here. We can do a better job, especially in maybe promoting events that are already happening that maybe aren't convention related. But I think Janet and I have talked about this before. When the kids are coming back to school, especially Grand Valley, one of our busiest weekends of the year is that and graduations. It fills the county. Probably drives Mike nuts at graduation time because he's got a lot of sporting events in. He's trying to find rooms for those, but it's a busy time. But we've done really well in the conference area. What we probably haven't worked on enough is events they're already hosting and promoting those.
And then just one other great idea for you all, instead of the brewators or whatever they are, for those of
Crusaders?
us that don't drink beer, how about an ice cream crusader T-shirt and go around to all the different ice cream places we have?
I don't think you're going to get a lot of argument from people about ice cream, but we'll work on that.
I would do that one in a minute.
All right.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and your whole team. As always, outstanding job, and we always appreciate your report. There may have been a few more questions out here. I think I saw some hands up over there, but I know you're always open to answering questions, so we'll let you know if we have more questions.
And I'd also like to compliment the hiring of Mr. Britt. He's been wonderful to work with.
Been doing outstanding.
And look forward to that work with him.
Very good, thank you. Let's then go to our next special order of business, which is the West Michigan Sports Commission, and invite Mike Gusweiler up. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Commissioners. Following up this presentation. I'll be the only one speaking on behalf of the Sports Commission for time's sake, but I do also have some of our staff behind me. Some staff are on the road pounding the pavement, trying to bring business back to our great county. So With that, it's always a pleasure to give an annual update to all of you on the work of the Sports Commission. We certainly thank your continued investment in what we do around sports tourism, and it's certainly appropriate that we do it on the heels of Experience Grand Rapids in the work that we do continuously with them as they promote the area, and we're able to concentrate on sports tourism. You'll see a lot of similarities with regard to Experience Grand Rapids as a tourism destination organization, as well as our organization, certainly being economic development and adding quality of life through the events that we bring in here. Simply put, we're trying to bring individuals and their pocketbooks into our community who otherwise might go to Columbus or Milwaukee or any other city, and it's having an immense impact, our work. And so certainly you'll see and have seen some of the numbers that tourism generates. Sports tourism specifically, in collaboration in a study with our national body, National Association of Sports Commissions, and Ohio University College of Business, always does a state of the industry. And looking at what sports tourism is doing is it's continually growing in its impact across the country. It's now an $11.4 billion industry. It's been identified as one of the fastest growing market segments for tourism. And of course, we talked about it being recession-proof. I think the West Michigan Sports Commission is proof of that. We were created in 2007. We grew through 2007 and 12 to the numbers that we're generating today and in that great recession that we have. But what we're also seeing is a trend in economic development throughout the country, led by municipalities, of growing sport infrastructure, trying to get a piece of that $11.4 billion. And of course, we did the Art Van Sports Complex, and I'll talk about the impact of that. And we're also talking about what additional infrastructure can we do. When we started, and here's just a quick timeline that grabbed out some key things that we've accomplished over what is now over 11 years, we wanted to become a go-to organization. We wanted to create a signature event and, of course, grow our infrastructure. We hold annual luncheons that we're able to bring in some significant individuals to speak about, sports and what sports have meant to them, from Coach Izzo to Kirk Gibson. And it's always been exciting to give an update, of course, to our community that supports us. Our first national event was the National Golden Gloves Tournament of Champions, and there's been many nationals since then. Of course, then we launched the Meyer State Games of Michigan in 2010. We did a groundbreaking for the Art Van Sports Complex in 2012. It has gone through 4 seasons, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We created and survived the National Transplant Games, which the National Kidney Foundation had given up, and it really promotes the importance of organ donation. Of course, working with our many colleges and partners and bringing NCAA championships and NAIA championships, and last year hosted the State Games of America. So an impressive amount of accomplishment, and these are just a snapshot of some of those things that we've been able to do with the resources that are given to us. Our staff certainly continues to grow. We're not the 31 strong of our partner organization, but certainly we keep growing with the resources that we're given, and we're good stewards of those resources. Certainly with that growth, we're able to produce more room nights. We've got 9 full-time staff members, 3 contracted agents as we look towards PR and managing the Art Van Sports Complex on a seasonal basis. And then we're also employing temporary seasonal staff in food and beverage, concessions, parking, as well as grounds upkeep. So certainly creating jobs as well. We have a 15-member board of directors that governs us and helps lead that direction. We maintain that connectivity to our key partners, certainly with Experience Grand Rapids, with our hoteliers, and with the county. So thank you to our current board members, Commissioners Brevet and Jones. We appreciate the leadership and the connectivity and work that all of our board members bring to what we're able to accomplish. As Doug pointed out, and any organization is doing, is looking at a roadmap for their future. And this is our 4th strategic plan that we also conducted that helps look at what's next and how can we continue to have an impact throughout our community with regard to sports tourism and growing that number and the number of people that are visiting. So the 5 key things that have come out of ours is certainly maintaining that financial stability so we have those resources to continue to have the impact, but focused on producing the hotel room nights that produces those revenues that Doug pointed out, and it's growing right now, and it's wonderful because we're able to leverage that. Certainly looking at our relationship with the corporate and philanthropic partners and growing 2 of our key operating arms in the Art Van Sports Complex and Meyer State Games, and again, I'll talk about that. Business development, and I know Commissioner Bolkowski was mentioned in the previous presentation, and I'll mention a brief conversation I had with him. You know, we see a great opportunity in adaptive sports, and we're partnering with Mary Freebed Adaptive Sports, and certainly we've seen the benefit of helping to build the Miracle Field and what's happening out there, that we really have a focus on being inclusive and diverse in the different amount and variety of sports that we're bringing into the community. But we're also creating a framework and a tiering of going after and best utilizing our resources of what fits in our community so that we're not chasing something and utilizing resources on events that perhaps don't fit what we have as far as infrastructure. Organizational alignment, certainly giving our staff the tools that they need to do their job. Brand relevance, what we really, over 11, 12 years, realized the impact that we're having is to also be a leader in health and wellness through sport. We look at the childhood obesity rates, and we look at the health care that's required throughout an individual's life and the mental health awareness. Well, sports has been proven to have an impact on all of those things, and we want to work with a program that is nationwide that our National Association of Sports Commission has adopted, and it's through the Aspen Institute, called Project Play, of really offering a sampling of sports to all demographics and accessibility to sports. So it's something that we're going to be instituting and really leading the impact on health and wellness that sports can have in our community. And we'll talk more about that as we're able to integrate those strategies. In additional brand relevance of the importance of sports tourism. And then lastly, facility development. And I'll talk more again about the impact that the Art Van Sports Complex has had, but also leading the conversation on what additional infrastructure is needed. Our revenue sources have grown. We see the bulk of them coming from our partnership with Experience Grand Rapids and Kent County through the lodging tax and hotel assessment, but also through our operating arms, the Meyer State Games in Michigan, from summer and winter sport registrations, and again, the number of athletes I'll touch on, and it continues to grow, and the Art Van Sports Complex through rental of the fields, through concessions, through parking revenues, is adding to the impact of bringing these visitors into our community. And certainly, again, our corporate and philanthropic partners, the CAA, and marketing, the arena and Voss Place, and bringing sporting events there, and then our luncheon and other special events that generate some revenue for us to work from. It's all contributing to continued growth. We're now over 45,000 hotel rooms that we're able to track, contributed to what we're able to generate through sports tourism. And that number we expect to continue to grow. As I mentioned earlier in a slide, as it's been identified, it's one of the fastest growing market segments. Certainly infrastructure plays a part in that, certainly availability of hotel rooms. I think that's where potentially Doug and I differ in terms of the type of hotel room that's being built. Well, it certainly suits and fits these sports teams that are coming in. They like that limited service, or these outlying hotel properties that have the free parking, the free breakfast typically, the pools, and so that works well for sports tourism. So to date, and this number keeps growing as we keep showing the scorecard, over 730 different sporting events that we've had a hand in this community. It's brought in over 1.2 million spectators and participants, and from our calculation, that is an industry formula of how much each family spends as they come into our community, over $380 million of direct spending over the course of our existence. So certainly that return on investment in sports tourism is real. We also leverage our partnership with the county through the county parks and looking at those venues as an opportunity to both partner with events that are looking for unique venues, but in bringing events into these venues. And working with Roger and his team has generated this sampling list, and there's certainly more to add to it. But when you look at the spending that's been included over the course of these events, it exceeds $1 million. And so that's another way that we're leveraging the assets that already exist in this community. Here's a sampling again of what we have coming up. We're promoting and helping to assist an individual that hopes to hit a Guinness Book World Record of youth hockey over the course of many different sheets of ice, including this community, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Kalamazoo. And the great thing about that is it's during a need time. It's in between the Christmas and New Year holidays. So it's filling hotel rooms that perhaps otherwise would not be filled. Working with Grand Rapids Community College to bring in the National Junior College Athletic Association basketball regionals. Of course, working with Calvin College for the high school girls state finals. And then a couple of lacrosse championships, both in NAIA with Aquinas and also NCAA with GVSU, and many other events that we're able to bring to our community that, again, bring these bodies in their pocketbooks. Myers State Games, Eric and his team continue to impact the world of state games. The National Congress of State Games is hosted in our office because of the work of Eric and what he's done with our own Myers State Games. So I think that just shows what these games have done both here locally but also nationally across the country in growing the state games model. Next year we celebrate 10 years for the summer games, but the number of sports combined between the winter games and the summer games exceeding 60, the number of athletes that are coming from all of the counties throughout Michigan in all ages and all abilities are over 10,000 now, and the economic impact we're seeing exceed $3 million for those games. And the Art Van Sports Complex, sport infrastructure, we built that, of course, in 2012, and now 4 seasons later, we've seen 60 tournaments occur over that course of time, over 2,500 teams. We expect, that there's 12 to 14 kids per team, and so that extrapolates out the number of families, and then the travel parties that come, mom and dad and siblings and grandpa and grandma, to, the tune of over 83,000 spectators. We've had 8 national championships, and you see the graph in the upper left-hand corner. We're trying to backfill those seasons or the months where travel baseball ends, typically in July, and so we've seen a decline in use of the facility. Well, we're working with more softball associations, International Senior Softball, USA Softball, and we're seeing an opportunity there to gain more events over a longer time, and so we think that will bring more heads and beds and certainly, of course, more revenue to that facility so we can do more. The average length of stay, of course, being more than 2 days, nearly 3. Average daily rate, as we looked and saw the work of Experience Grand Rapids and the Smith Travel Report, it's certainly contributing to growing that average daily rate, being at around $135 and growing. And then $19.5 million over the course of these 4 seasons. Doug touched on the work that they're doing to look at all areas of our community and how can we continue to be competitive but raise the bar to grow this community to the next level. And I was glad that youth and sports tourism were included in that wheel, and looking at infrastructure, it certainly plays a part. The number one thing as we're being chosen as a destination is venue, and do you have the venue that can accommodate our tournament? And so while we built baseball and softball venue, which grew into other activities up at the Art Van Sports Complex, we're continually looking at field sports and what can we do to focus on a complex that can bring in soccer, lacrosse, ultimate, flag football, and those tournaments are abundant across the country. And so in working with Doug's team and the Destination Asset Study team and focused on this, we did do a feasibility study, and through that feasibility study, the consultant, through his work, looked at competitive sets, looked at our marketplace, and identified that yes, a 12 to 14 field complex would survive, would do well, and would grow the tourism segment here in Kent County. We've been having continued conversations. We have a facility needs committee that continues to focus on that, and we talk to partners in the community, including Kent County Parks, as we conceptualize the ability to develop undeveloped parkland space, and how can we make it accessible by the community, but also make it usable for bringing in sports tourism and bringing in new dollars. And this is just one of those concepts, looking at the Thornapple Bend Park in the Kent County Park system of is there a way to partner and use a portion of that to activate it, to develop it. So those conversations continue as just one example of what we could do to continue to impact sports tourism in Kent County. With that, certainly again, thank you for the opportunity to provide this update. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yes, we'll allow a few questions here. Commissioner Bolkowski, I'm going to try to get some others that didn't.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I thank you so much, and of course, thank Doug. I'll sneak that one in. I'll start out as the, whatever my political leanings are. I mean, when we're looking at things like that, I'm like, let's build it. We forget that the Van Andel Arena had, I think, $50 million of taxpayer investment. DeVos Place had over $100 million of taxpayer investment. And again, leveraging awesome philanthropic support. Are we going to be assertive? Can we be assertive to really look at, okay, what is the taxpayer support that's going to leverage so we can get this stuff built quicker? Because as we've pointed out, all our competitors are doing this stuff or have done this stuff. Every time we do these things, the return on investment is above the curve because we are conservative in our estimates, which is good. So again, yeah, I mean, nothing against Commissioners Breevy and Jones, but do we need a fiscally conservative socialist on the board to push forward about taxpayer investment to get us moving?
Absolutely. I appreciate your comments. I think it is important for us to be aggressive, to look at, where are the opportunities to grow our county, to continue to have the health and just being, successful as a county. And certainly we've proven that success in growing and creating the Sports Commission, but building more infrastructure, and our competitive set is doing it. And we want to do it right. We want to build something just to build it, but we certainly want to do our due diligence and ensure that we're building the right thing. Unfortunately, we saw the passing of many of our private sector leaders who were very integral in leading these type of developments. I don't know that we're going to see that anymore. I think we need to, as a county and as elected leaders, be the leading force. And yes, we can pull in the private sector and have some of that contributed, but we are seeing that, and we're seeing best practices and good models across the country. Doug mentioned Oklahoma City and the MAPS project that they have of adding, 1 cent to a sales tax. Now, I know that has a very scary connotation to it, especially around election season, but it's working, and it's building things that the community wants, and the community has input. So I think those are things that certainly we need to look at. And yes, I think that the county and the elected leaders need to lead it.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to be brief. Having a club soccer player, I guess, makes me an official soccer mom. So I just wanted to advocate, and I am glad that you are looking at those fields. But we're having to drive to Jenison for indoor stuff. And I wonder if that feasibility study could look at some sort of, given our climate, it's becoming a year-round sport. A lot of these things are year-round, where your kid is playing spring and fall and training in the winter, and there's no place to train. And I know that these clubs pay for that. So just wanted to encourage that. And then also just quickly, just to plant a seed, no need to answer if you don't want to, but in getting into this club sports culture, I just have concerns that some of the, maybe disadvantaged youth aren't able to participate in some of these sports. And I wondered if the West Michigan Sports Commission, I know you're bringing tourism in and not necessarily totally focused on our Kent County kids, but if there's some sort of scholarship program or things we can kind of look to expand our mission a little bit, because I feel like, the club sports are becoming so big and some kids are getting left behind, and I just wondered if that could be something we could maybe noodle for another.
Yeah, and let me comment
future
on
mission.
that very briefly. We already have been doing a little bit of that work with the Meyer State Games in Michigan. There's over 40 sports, really over 60 when you add winter, and the Adopt an Athlete program that Eric created, and offering scholarships through sponsors and having these kids able to participate and compete. But through this Project Play, it is a focus of ours, and we feel we're in the best position to really lead that effort of health and wellness through sport. Concentrated, yes, it's not producing heads and beds, but it's doing the right thing in our community around sport. And so that's something we're focused on. It's not developed yet, but sport sampling, accessibility to sport for inner city youth is something we're going to be
I'd
focused
love
on.
to help you on that if you get down the road a ways. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Skaggs.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so I'm just trying to get down to brass tacks here. It looks to me from the previous presentation that your budget from us through Experience Grand Rapids is $919,000.
That's projected for next year.
That's projected, so $775,000 for 2017. So what is the return on investment? And how do you know that? How do you know that people are staying at the hotels, or is this just a national algorithm and we don't really know if people are just coming in from Lowell or East Grand Rapids, playing a little soccer, playing a little softball, and then going home?
It's a great question. And sports tourism, you could ask any of my colleagues across the country, tracking room nights attached to sports tourism is very difficult. We are able to track a bulk of it because it's contracted or third-party housing, and so they go directly to the hotel, they place the people there. That's easy. Otherwise, people are going to go and stay at the hotel they choose, and they're already spending a lot of money in this community. Hotels are unable to track that. So what we do is we go direct to the tournament operator and we look at zip codes. And we know on a multi-day tournament, 150 miles or more out, they're staying the night. It is the assumption. Now, are some traveling back and forth? Maybe. I doubt it. And so we'll use that and extrapolate out, a number on top of some history or some contracted room nights. So in some estimates or some, number parameters, it is a bit of a guessing game. But we try and refine that guessing game. We try and be very conservative. It is producing the number of people coming in, and they are coming in from afar, and we can track that. And the hotel occupancy is growing. And we've worked with Doug, and we've looked at the Smith Travel Report. Over a certain date, you can isolate and narrow it down, and we see an impact. We did it with the State Games of America, and there was a significant impact on the days. So there are measurements and things that we can do, but at the end of the day, it does become a guessing game in some cases.
Okay, so just if I may. So I understand Commissioner Bolkowski's point of view, right, that this is a money multiplier moving around the economy. But how much are we getting back? I guess what I'd like to see, how much are we getting back in the hotel and lodging tax? Because we heard that from Experience Grand Rapids, and I just want to know, are we actually getting a return on that $875,000? And to the best of your ability, what exactly is that?
Well, certainly you can take the room nights that we generate, and in the average daily rate, I would assume that the group rate is going to be more than the average daily rate we saw up there. And you can multiply that out and do your 5%, and that'll tell you, okay, this is what we're getting. But I would be careful about taking it specifically on a dollar for dollar, because we're doing so much more in retaining jobs and in creating jobs and growing business by bringing these people in. And you need to look at the economic impact number, too, of the dollars being spent in this community. Yes, it's not all coming back necessarily to the Kent County budget through that lodging tax, but it's going into businesses, and it's going into our kids' pocketbooks as they have that job at the hotels or the restaurants. Those are some of the tangible items that aren't tied necessarily just to that 5% tax that we can't forget about.
Oh, no, I'm not forgetting about those things. There are other things that do that in addition to sports tourism. But I guess I don't know that I'd be doing my job if I didn't know the exact return on it, or a fairly robust analysis of an exact return on investment for the county.
Okay. Yeah, we can generate something like that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Stack.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. As we look at the potentiality of the Whitewater project coming into this community, have you done some thinking about how that impacts your mission and what role, if anything, your organization has with them?
Yeah, we certainly support the effort. Doug and I have had this conversation. I think what it does is it creates place. It creates a sense of promoting destination by activating the river. And it'll also create business development, both on the river and on the dry part surrounding the river. I mentioned to Doug, as he had a consultant come in, there are not a lot of destinations, or not every destination can tout the fact that they've got a natural resource of water, a body of water that is part of their destination. We have that, but have we done enough with it? Speaking specifically to sports tourism, certainly there are events that we can bring in tied to whitewater kayaking, whitewater rafting, and there's other destinations that do that we can measure and see what that impact has been. We already are a good rowing destination, both at the high school, collegiate, and now national level. Next year we'll have U.S. Rowing Masters Nationals coming back that we hosted in 2014. That was wildly successful. Every time that we go out and promote it, regardless of where we go, these teams remember Grand Rapids. So there's certain benefits. I think the greater benefit is the economic development, the activating the river, and being able to point to it of who Grand Rapids is as another asset of our destination.
Thank you.
Time for one more question. Commissioner Ponstein?
I'll yield to someone else.
Was there anybody that did ask a question earlier that has one? We don't see any. Well, very good. We very much appreciate the presentation. Always good to hear from you and the great things that are going on. So thank you and your staff for everything that you do.
Thanks for this opportunity, and thanks for the continued support.
Great. All right, let's move on our agenda. We move next to item 6, which is public comment. Is there any public comment this morning? I need to go out and buy a lottery ticket, so.
I can go to public comment.
Let's move then to item 7, which is consent agenda, and I'll call on Commissioner Mast.
Chair, I would move the consent agenda as is listed before us.
Support.
I didn't hear who supported. Okay, Commissioner Breeve supported. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to remove item C, the resolution under item C, please.
All right, item C. Any other questions or comments? I see none. This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion to adopt the consent agenda, Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Commissioners Breeve.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes?
Coleman. Korndike.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Skaggs.
Yes.
Steck.
Yes.
Talon.
Yes.
Funk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack. Chair Salfeld.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted.
Thank you, and just for clarification, that's A and B of the consent agenda. We'll now take a motion to approve the resolution that is currently listed on 7C. Do I have a motion?
And I will so move that.
Okay, we have Commissioner Mast. Is there support by Commissioner Morgan? Are there questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. My reason for asking to have it removed is, as I read, and this has been an ongoing thing for me, as I read that the consent item agenda items are considered routine, I don't like to think of these appointments of citizens as routine. These are folks that we had the pleasure of interviewing. We had highly qualified candidates. Their contribution is significant, and I'd like to recognize that as not routine. So I appreciate being able to take it out of the consent agenda and approve it on its own. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I do not see any. This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Chair, on the motion to adopt Resolution 1025-1889, Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Commissioners Brevy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman. Korndike.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Skaggs.
Yes.
Steck.
Yes.
Talon.
Yes.
Vunk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Chair Salfeld.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 1025-1889 is adopted.
Thank you. We will move then to agenda item number 8. We have 2 resolutions this morning, and on the first one, I'll call on Commissioner Mast.
Resolution 1025-1890, which is the apportionment report for 2018. The Finance Committee had a pretty lengthy discussion and presentation, and things are growing in our county. So I move that resolution.
Supported by Commissioner Brevy. Questions or comments on this resolution? I am not seeing any. This is not a roll call vote, so all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We will move to the second resolution, and I will call on Commissioner Korndike.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move resolution number 91 of today's date from the Sheriff's Department to add 1 resource officer for schools and 2 resource officers for Forest Hill schools.
Support.
Support by Commissioner Jones. Questions or comments on this resolution? Commissioner Skaggs.
Well, I mentioned this in the Legislative and Human Resources meeting, so hopefully you looked at the minutes. But again, I think that although this may be a worthwhile program, I'll be voting no because I think that it's generally unfair to the taxpayers of cities in that the Sheriff's Department has decided that this program is only for schools that exist within the zone of their authority. But of course, we all pay the same millage rate no matter where we live. And I think that if we're going to, I don't think I can go back to my constituents and say that their tax dollars are being used to protect and support other kids for a program that their kids are not eligible for. So I think that the county, and I would encourage the chair to think about ways in which we can make sure that the money that's being sent for these children is matched and at least offered to similar programs that would be able to support children that just happen to live in cities that aren't in the sheriff's jurisdiction.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah, just to clarify my own mind, the cities have a charter or have their own police departments, correct? And they elect to do that, so they can have this program if they want it, right?
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I do. Commissioner Stack?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I mean, my understanding is that the difference between the cost allocation for providing these services inside an existing policing jurisdiction and outside is 100% reimbursement versus the 70%. And my understanding is as well that there is a revenue sharing differential between the institutions that, the jurisdictions that exist with a policing agency and don't. So there is some economic justification for drawing the distinctions here. So I think it is supportable.
Commissioner Antor?
Commissioner Steck kind of addressed my question, so I'm good.
Commissioner Bukowski?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, every once in a while in the fall, I suggest things for us to do in the quiet of the spring so that we're not up to our eyeballs in budget stuff, that we can really pull these things apart, because when it comes to the sheriff's operations, every once in a while we bring out various issues of equity in the sense of here's one. We talk about the per diem. Is that fair or not for the 6 cities? Yes, the cities could, I believe they can, like the city of Cedar Springs, ended their police force and they're now 100% patrolled by the sheriff. So there are these opportunities. So for us to have a larger work session to really see what is happening, how is it happening, what is the equity or non-equity in all of this, as opposed to just a couple bumper stickers that we throw at each other at these very short meetings, in the sense of, we spent over an hour, and we probably should spend another couple hours with Experience Grand Rapids and the Sports Commission to really get into how they're doing what they're doing, and the sheriff has a much larger impact in our community. So I would look forward to some quiet time in the spring to really get into how is this stuff really happening or not. So yeah, let's keep digging into what's really happening out there.
Commissioner Womack?
I totally agree with Commissioner Skaggs and Bukowski that when we talk about the equity and the taxpayers paying from cities and townships, that I would definitely like to see that program also be in Grand Rapids. I do look forward to talking to our new sheriff on some ways that the sheriff department can be more active in Grand Rapids. A lot of times when we're at events, we do see our great deputies come to some of our mass events down Grand Rapids, whether it's fireworks or festivals or Art Prize. And a lot of times we might get a chance to see them on horses, but the community doesn't get a real chance to interact with them. I will be supporting it just because nationally the danger in these schools, despite the equity that I definitely will be fighting for with my colleagues, just looking at nationally the mass shootings that are going on in schools, just if any one of these officers can make a relationship with these kids or begin to identify somebody that could be a potential danger or tort that off or be in the school in case something happens that goes bad. It doesn't matter if it's an inner city school or suburban school. I'm concerned with all our children. So for that reason, I definitely will be supporting it. I'm sure that his role is going to be a lot broader than some of those fears and concerns that I put out there, but all of these schools need it, whether suburban, township, but I do agree with my colleagues that we should be looking at some of these equity situations. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Korndike?
Thank you, Chair. I think this is a good program to support schools that come to us and ask for help. We should definitely be able to supply those means for them. And as far as equity throughout the county services for all the cities and townships and villages that are in our county, we have had a report done in the past, and it shows that pretty much all the cities and the townships share the money rather equally. So maybe it's a good time for everyone to take a look at that report into the future and have it updated, and we can all see where the money is spent, how it's spent, and is it equally spent throughout the county. And from what I've seen, it pretty much is. So thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Ponstein?
Thank you, Chair Salpa. And I just wanted to echo Dan's comments is, yeah, maybe we should take a bigger look at that, update that, report, because there are people in the cities, I get that questions from businesses of why our trash has to go to the waste to energy. They pay higher tipping rates, higher fees for that. the 6 cities were the ones that were taxed to build that, and they can list those things, and the townships can have their case, but we need to at least take a broader look at it so everyone's on the page of what the history is, because living in Granville, yes, we have a police officer in our school, the city pays for it. I don't have a problem with that, because I look at the city of Granville, there's a lot of benefits that we get by being a city within Kent County, and that's also important. There's people that come to our city from around the county, we benefit from that, but I think we should at least update that report and kind of give some of the newer commission the history of this and what the real numbers are.
Just to comment on this briefly, we have a report that we did provide in the administrator's report this past week. What we can do is take this and do what you've asked, which is to define how policing's done in the urban and rural setting, pull that out, and then talk that piece more emphatically so that everybody understands the difference in how the urban and versus the rural, how that plays out. So we will take this on. We are in the process of updating this document for everyone at this time, so we'll have that done hopefully by the end of the year.
So we'll include all services, health services,
Yes.
everything, right? Just
Yes.
not police service, but
Correct.
all the money
All.
spent.
Yes.
Commissioner Skaggs.
I have read that report twice. I think there's some flaws in it. But again, and I appreciate the opportunity that the staff is going to look at it again. I'll let you know what I think some of my issues with that report are.
Love to hear that.
But I just think that if this is a program that we're all going to support, and we're going to send $193,000 or something around that from the general fund, $193,000. We're paying for the car, we're paying for 70%. I mean, the car is off books. It's on the books, it's on the report, but it's not included here. There's nothing in the resolution that talks about how much money is actually coming out of the general fund. And I think whatever the ratios that Commissioner Steck mentioned, they are not 0 to 100, which is what we're doing on this particular resolution.
I'm not sure your numbers are right, Commissioner Skaggs, but in any event, let's let the process play out in terms of the update, and we can go from there. With that, we'll call the roll. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 1025-1891, Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Commissioners Brevi.
Yes.
Volkowski.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Coleman. Korndike.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Melton. Morgan.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Skaggs.
No.
Steck.
Yes.
Talon.
Yes.
Vonk.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Chair Salfeld.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 17 yeas, 1 nay. The motion passes. Resolution 1025-1891 is adopted.
Thank you. We will move to agenda item number 9, which is our 1-minute public comment. Is there any public comment this morning? I still do not see any, so we will move to agenda item number 10, which are reports. Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. Last meeting, I said that I would send a summary of the informal meetings that were held with the sheriff and some members of the community, myself. I sent that out Sunday night. I hope you've had an opportunity to read it. I understand if you didn't because it was kind of long, but if you did not receive it, please let me know and I'll be sure to get it to you. Thank you.
Very good. Commissioner Brevi.
Thank you, Chair. I believe all of you should have received a copy of the lead task force subcommittee report and just kind of a follow-up on what we've been doing. And we've had a great committee that was put together. We were able to identify and assign roles throughout the community. And many of those groups have taken on the different tasks and are currently working on them. The health department's kind of doing the heavy lifting on a lot of those topics. They're, the leader in our community. And it's going to take a broad approach. So whether it's like a private organization, one of the cities, even our state legislators, we're working with all of them. And I know Matthew and our lobbyists have been working together too with our state legislators to see where we can maybe gain some additional funding.
Thank
There's
you.
an update. If there's any questions, feel free to follow up with me.
Very good. Commissioner Korndike.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. The airport passenger numbers are in for September. Press release yesterday, numbers are up. We continue to break records for passenger activity out at the airport. 9 months in a row, biggest September ever. Things are going very well at our airport. Cell lot was redone and reopened. You had a press release on that as well, trying to supply the best possible customer service as we can out at the airport. Thank you, Chair.
Very good. Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair. I tantalized everyone last time, I think, indicating that I expected we'd be at a contract with Beacon at the LRE, and the board did approve the resolution to enter into a contractual relationship with Beacon Health Options at the LRE to partner with us to provide all the key management functions and managed care functions in the region. So we look forward to the execution of that agreement.
Thank you. Commissioner Womack.
Yes, Chair, the Asset Community Service Employment Training Council with Michigan Works. We did have a meeting this week, and we're mostly on target with our budget and under budget in many areas. One of the areas, consumable supplies, we were over budget, but that was because our ambitions to become paperless, so updates on software, and just proud of some of the programs that are going to be continuing on as PATH and some apprenticeship programs, internships, training that Michigan Works will be doing in 2019. Things look positive, and I look forward to bringing more reports.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to touch base as Chair of the Finance and Physical Resources Committee that we do have a work session for November 1st at 7:30. And we will then be looking at the budget on Tuesday, November 6th at our regular Finance Committee meeting. And again, everyone from the board is welcome and the public is welcome to the work session on the 1st. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Hennessy.
The Senior Millage Review Committee has completed its work, its examination, talking with the 30-plus providers, looking at 51-plus services, and that report will be coming to us in the coming weeks for its approval.
Very good. Any other reports? Don't see any, so we will move to agenda item 11, miscellaneous. Commissioner Melton.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't know if you were just roll calling. Anyway, just two quick things. I went to a wonderful dinner on Monday night, the Disability Advocates Dinner. And not only did I have a wonderful meal, but I walked away the proud winner of a meal cooked by Father Prisbiz and somebody else. And pouring my drinks is going to be Mayor Rosalind Bliss. So I just thought I would let you know that I will be a very happy person some night, and that was very exciting. And then Kentwood became the OK Red champions, and I'm sorry for Rockford's loss. I really am. No, I really am. But my purpose.
I wouldn't be sorry about that if
I
it was
am.
the other way around.
I would like to see all the teams win.
Oh, everybody wins.
But my point is, in talking with what we've been hearing today and our sports commission, we have a young man on our team who has no means for doing any outside training of anything whatsoever, and yet he has excelled in football. He has run the ball for, I think, an average, I'm not good in sports, 160 yards a game. He does track and field and wrestling. He's taken advantage of all of the sports that you do not get cut and that you do have a chance to go forward in. And so I guess if our sports commission can hear that and know that there are persons, I mean, he's now got several colleges that are looking at him. So an opportunity that never, ever seemed to be possible for this young man is wide open, and not because he's had to go to all the soccer things and the workshops or whatever, just because he has taken advantage of what is available to him. And we do have those resources, and I thank you for what you do. That's why I said that.
Very good. Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Salfeld. Just want to comment on Commissioner Steck's report on the LRE. I think one of the criticisms right off the bat was this was a move by the state to take a publicly managed system and move it to private management. The goal was hopefully to save money, better services. Hopefully a year out from now, maybe the administration can report back, or the LRE, whether those goals of what the state wanted to happen with the regionalization of our mental health services really did come to fruition. Second, to tail on the comments about the economic development for the Sports Commission, I don't know if we can have the right place look at this, but there's a lot of things in this county that get direct taxpayer support, and it's in the name of economic development. I think maybe a report to educate the board of what all economic impacts, what involvement of the county are in those, and what businesses are out there that generate with little or no taxpayer expense. I think that'd be eye-opening and maybe a starting point for future conversations on what this county should and should not be involved in. And then secondly, I was hoping someone from the health department was here, but maybe if we can get an update. I know the AFM, the polio-like disease, has been in the news. It sounds like the federal government is on top of that. But I just read an article the other day that there's 33 counties since July 9th that have outbreaks, and outbreaks mean more than one, of Legionnaire's disease. And I was wondering if we could update from our health department where Kent County is, what does it look like, and what they think is driving that. I think that too is something that kind of caught me off guard and doesn't hit the headlines of the news, so, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Womack.
Yes, I just want to thank GRPD and Chief Rahinsky for deciding to improve their youth initiative program. I co-hosted a forum with the chief this weekend, and as he serves this entire city here in Kent County, our largest city, Grand Rapids, Michigan, he has some opposing views of the community when it comes to some of the national news broadcasts of the youth and 10-year-olds through 12-year-olds who have innocently been handcuffed because it was for sake for the officer's safety and the community's safety. But after having a chance to talk to the community, I think he's taken a great first step towards improving community and police relationships. So I just thank the Grand Rapids Police Department for really coming to that forum with an open ear and being able to do something. For a lot of people who don't live in the community, they don't know how big a step this was for improving police communications, relations with the community, and I just don't think it could have took one step further in a real positive way without that movement. So once again, I just wanted to thank our law enforcement for this decision.
Thank you. Commissioner Stack.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of items. First, maybe a brief response to Commissioner Ponstein's observations about the LRE agreement with Beacon. I can assure you that the state had almost nothing to do with the design of this process and the system that we ended up with. And can also assure you that one of the key components of this new structure is that we retain the public control of the LRE. And while this is a risk-sharing arrangement that is public and private in nature, the public body remains totally in control of what will go on. And it's a 60-page document. I'm more than happy to explain any of the other details if folks want to check with me later. Second is Commissioner Mast and I had the pleasure of attending the Community Mental Health Association conference this week, I guess, Monday and Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Always a great event and great to observe and participate and learn there. And the last thing is a bit of a mea culpa. I learned after we approved the motion to adopt the airport referendum bond, I think that was at the last meeting. I did not recuse myself or abstain. I learned later that my firm did represent the financing entity in that process, so I did not know that at the time. I probably should have abstained. I think it approved unanimously without my vote making the difference, thank goodness. So my apologies to my colleagues.
Thank you. Commissioner Bukowski.
Thank you. Speaking of conflicts of interest, you all know I love a good conflict of interest, and
has experienced Grand Rapids ratted me out. You know, some people say conflict of interest. I simply say great partnership. You know, I'm not getting rich on it because I can't even afford a haircut. So that being said, thank you so much for our continued work, making our community as accessible and inclusive for everyone. I got to go as a county commissioner last Friday night to the NAACP Justice Fund dinner. That was absolutely powerful and fantastic. It's awesome to see the NAACP continuing to wake up in a good way. I'm not saying it was asleep a few years ago, but it's really just coming back with awesome power and calling all of us to justice and accountability and for a better future. Thank you all for our Invest in Ability dinner. It was Kevin Matthews from WLAV. If anybody remembers Kevin, he's still around. And I think you all got the email with the links to the videos. And last but not least, as the chair pointed out, there is an election coming up November 6th. So I think all of us are painfully aware of that election, but at least people watching on TV, get out there and vote. Please, please, please vote, and then enjoy cocktail week.
Very good. Any other miscellaneous today? I do not see any. I will call then on Commissioner Mast for a motion to adjourn.
I am pleased to move for adjournment, subject to the call of the chair, but otherwise November 8, 2018.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
I am Kent County. I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County. We are Kent County.
Beya, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.